Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, good. Hi, Carly. We're having all kinds of challenges tonight. Um, I have not, I am so tired. Some of you know I just came back from, I was at a Sundance for, I guess, 5-ish days. And I've had like 2 days to recover, and I'm still catching up. Oh, and the full moon's coming up too. That's right. That could be part of where that tiredness is coming from. Okay, give me a second. I forgot to grab a writing implement. Maya yellow hey, Wichanzoni wa Maya kuelo, Pila Maya ye, Pila Maya yellow hey. Alrighty, well let's start, shall we? Hello everybody, I'm Patrick, your friendly neighborhood shaman, and we are going to do Monday mini medicine card readings. This beautiful deck with totem animals on every card. And if you're new here, the way this works is anyone who would like a 1-card reading just needs to say yes in the comments. I think I've got 1 so far. And so we got Anna. And the first 5 people in my family, and there's not one of them else. What? Sorry, Sesame Street flashback. The first 5 people to say yes in the comments get a 1-card reading, and the reason the number is 5 is because when I do one-on-one readings, I do a 5-card spread. So what we're going to do is take all those individual cards, put them together into one spread, and read for the community at the end. So, and if you are watching this on repeat, or if you are not in time to get a 1-card reading, all you need to do is choose a number between 1 and 5. And listen to that card, because even though you, it may not be aimed directly at you, I promise that there will be some pertinent message in there, or maybe the whole thing will resonate. You know, even if you're watching this a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, there's a reason you choose to watch this particular video and to choose that particular number, right? So, let's see. All right, so we've got Anna, we've got Carly, we've got Moon Honey, and If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I am going to set sacred space because I am so all over the place. And that usually helps ground me a little bit as I pull the cord out of my charger for my phone. Boom. All right. So when I say setting sacred space, if there's anyone that doesn't understand that, what we're doing is we're creating an energetic container around ourselves, calling in the spirits to hold a higher frequency of vibration around us that prevents anything of a lower frequency from coming in. And what that means is that we can let go, we can lay down our armor, lay down our shielding, and open up to spirit to receive the blessings, the messages, all the things that are coming to us from spirit. So, cover up in a warm blanket. I'm pretty hot, that's why I had the window open. All right. Spirits of the earth, spirits of the air, spirits of the fire, spirits of the water, spirits of the upper world, spirits of the lower world, compassionate spirits of the middle world, the Fae, the spirits of the land, the ancestors of the land. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for holding us in your love and your light. Oh. All right. And for anyone who watches my videos regularly, there are times, such as the last time we did this, a couple of weeks ago, where I forgot to close that sacred space at the end. But don't worry, I always catch myself and I always will close it after the fact. So we actually did this event up in Seattle here a number of years ago. And the woman who was kind of facilitating it, you know, we started, we set sacred space for our ceremony. We did our ceremony and we proceeded to, you know, eat and hang out and dance and all kinds of stuff, and had so much fun that no one remembered to close that sacred space or to release that sacred space. And so the facilitator woke up at like 3 a.m. Her guide's like knocking on her head saying, hello, hello. And so she ended up getting in her car at 3 a.m. and driving over to the park where we had done the ceremony with her drum, out there by herself in the dark, releasing that sacred space. So, just to say that do not worry about being caught in sacred space. If I happen to forget at the very end, sometimes I'll get gung-ho and I will, you know, especially if my phone's been acting up, and if I'm like really close to dying, it's like I will close and forget to release that sacred space. But I always remember, and I might be sitting here later doing that. So just so you know. Exactly. The guys are like, hey, we done here or what? McFly. All right, so let me do a couple of plugs at the beginning because this tends to last a long time, and in case you're not around at the very end, which I have no judgment, I don't blame anyone because it's like tends to go on for a couple of hours. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, my YouTube channel. I've been doing this for 8 or 9 years-ish. So I've got tons of these videos of readings, which if you ever need a little bit of guidance, you can pull one up randomly, choose a number for the card and watch and get a little bit of guidance and wisdom. I also, on Wednesdays, I do another video. same bat time, same bat channel, I do my sacred pipe ceremony. I'm a sacred pipe carrier. And every week on Wednesdays, I do a live sacred pipe ceremony for people so that they can have a moment in their week where they can just let go of the world, focus, attune, connect, align, and refocus. So if you like that, it's the same, my same channel, and join these. If it sounds interesting, check it out. Anyway, so if you need to just sit in sacred space, you can pull up any of those old pipe ceremonies. I've also got songs, etc. I just started posting regularly on TikTok. I'm aiming for doing 40 days in a row of one video a day, and which the Sundance actually interrupted that. It's kind of hard to post when you're off grid. So, but I just kind of paused it. Now I'm back, and eventually I'm going to figure out how to upload those to my YouTube channel. So, and I've got songs, I've got little PSAs, public shamanic announcements and stuff. And I really enjoy doing videos and stuff. So there's going to be more of that coming up. What else? If you enjoy my work and you would like to work with me personally, one-on-one or in a class, you can check out my website, perchingwolfstudios.net, where you can learn more about me. You can see the different shamanic services I offer. You can set up a session with me right from my website. Please share my videos if you enjoy them. If you know someone that might get a little bit of wisdom from them. And if you really enjoy my work and would like to support your friendly neighborhood shaman, I also have my PayPal and Venmo links in the description under this video. This is my day job, so this is what I do for a living, and I am so incredibly grateful for anyone who supports my work and helps me to keep a roof over my kitty's head and food in her little tummy. So, thank you. Sincerely, thank you. All right, time to start moving. All right, so again, if you're new here, all you need to do, we've got 3 people, so I've got 2 spots left for a 1-card reading. All you need to do is say yes in the comments. Here we go. First card for Anna. All right. Anna, card number 1 is Swan in reverse. I need to keep a note of which cards. Okay, I'm getting some stuff, but I'm not sure how to unfurl it, unwind it. Swan medicine is about grace. Swan medicine is about I like to say surrendering to your greatness. It's kind of the like Wayne Dyer used to say about, we are spirits having a human experience, not humans having a spiritual experience. So it's like surrendering to who you already are, trusting that you are already whole, that you are naturally a high vibrational being, that your soul is eternal. Everything of this world is temporal, including your physical body, but your soul is eternal. And so it's kind of leaning into that divinity, that eternity, um, into your destiny, right? There's a story that goes with Swan that, Swan, this young swanling, this young cygnet was swimming across the pond and saw a dragonfly resting on a reed over there. And dragonfly is the master of illusion, and Swan wanted to know what was her destiny, where was she going, what was her purpose. And Dragonfly was like, well, I can't tell you that, but I can show you. I can allow you to move forward on your path, but you must have absolute trust that everything that happens is a part of your path, that everything is leading you, drawing you forward into your perfect destiny, your perfect expression, right? And she was like, let's do it. And so Dragonfly spun his little hand, and this portal showed up, and the little swan swam into that portal. The portal closed, and then days later, across the pond, Dragonfly sees this big, beautiful, luminous bird swimming toward him, and recognizes it as the swan who was just the little cygnet earlier. And he's like, Swan, what happened to you? And she was like, I did exactly what you said. I trusted every step of the way. I surrendered knowing that, the universe had my back, that everything had a purpose, and that I was destined for greatness. I don't know. She trusted that she had a destiny, that she was here for a purpose. And that was what was resulted, was this big, luminous, beautiful, awe-inspiring bird. And so it's about knowing that, like I've talked before, let me grab one of those. There's new people. One of the things that I like to do, so I went through like a decade of extreme anxiety and panic attacks. And one of the things I learned to do when I was going through that whole time was there's another set of cards done by the same people that made the medicine card deck. They're called the Sacred Path deck. And one day I pulled one of those cards, and it was the war bonnet. The feather headdress that when you say Native American, and that's kind of a lot of times what people picture as the chief with the big feathered headdress, right? Well, those headdresses, traditionally, every eagle feather in that headdress is a battle that person survived. And so I took that, and I realized every time I experience a panic attack, it's a little battle. And so I started giving myself eagle feathers every time I had a panic attack. And this isn't the original. I have this. I'm also an archer, but I found this old bow in a secondhand store that I brought home, and I strung it, and then I started hanging an eagle feather on the bowstring for every time that I led through a panic attack. Um, and soon I had this bow with this whole string of eagle feathers, so that instead of detracting from my strength, I had a visual image of how strong I was, of all the battles that I had survived. It grew, it was constructive. And so if I was going through another period of anxiety and unsure of myself, all I needed to do was look at that bow and I would see that whole string of feathers, like that is how strong I am. And so I started doing that different periods of my life. This is a bison rib. And traditionally, a bison is this is a ceremonial dance bow. It's not an actual bow and arrow thing, but it's used for ceremony. I got the bow and I did all the feathers and everything. But then it was a certain period of my life. It was like right after my dad died. I was going through a really bad narcissistic relationship. And so I'm like, I need support. I need to, keep track, keep count of the things that I've gone through. So this, like every time I went through a major challenge during that period, I would give myself a feather until I finally made it through that period of life. And this is how strong I was. These are all the major battles that I had to endure through that particular period. And so I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 of these around my apartment, including the original bow. But it's like, my point is that if you think about swan, growing up from that little cygnet, that little swanling, who is just like the ugly duckling, it's awkward, clumsy, doesn't seem to fit into the world, is teased and forced to be someone that she isn't, and instead of carrying all of those, what do I even call those? All those little challenges of the world, of your own insecurities, etc., etc. Realize that whenever you experience that, you are growing one of these beautiful, pure white feathers. Because you are not of this, you are in the world, not of the world. And no one can keep you from who you are meant to be. And when you can trust that everything that happens, without getting caught into the duality of good and bad, etc., and instead say, okay, how do I move forward with this? How do I add this to, hi April, how do I add this? How do I make this proof of strength rather than proof of inadequacy? And I like to, if you've been watching my videos for a while, there's no secret that I'm a huge Xena fan. Well, welcome back, April. I think I remember your name. I still have space for a couple more readings. Do you want a reading? A 1-card reading? It's good to have you back. Thank you for joining us. Anyway, so Xena, one of the major characters on Xena was Caesar, right? Oh, you're only 9 years old. Well, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Would you like a card? Thank you for joining us, April. Good to see you. Thank you. Um, okay, so Caesar, right? And even on this was actually based on a real life situation. But in one of the Xena episodes, Caesar was caught. It was before he had risen to become emperor, but the enemies had captured him and they were going to ransom him. And he heard how much they were going to ransom him for, and he was like, no, 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 you got to ask for a lot more than that, or I won't. They won't. They If you don't ask for more, they won't think you actually have me. Because he knew he was worth more, right? And he knew he was destined for greatness. And so, even being captured by the enemy, he knew he was going to survive it because he knew he was meant for something else. He had that sense of destiny, that sense of purpose, that it was like, okay, I got caught by the enemy. This is going to make an interesting story. This is going to be a great experience that will add to my strength later on when I become emperor. So it's like, I was wondering if it's your, okay, April, 1 second. Let me pull you a card real quick. April, you got the blue heron. Blue heron are these beautiful birds. They eat fish, and the way that they're one of the greatest hunters in the animal kingdom, but they don't actually have to stalk their prey because they're these tall birds, and they stand in the water and they cast a shadow on the water. Am I going to be on live? Every Monday, well, I was gone last week, but every Monday at this time I will be on here live. But I just pulled you a card. Tomorrow, no, just Mondays. Just Mondays that I do the card readings, and then on Wednesdays I do a ceremony video. So Mondays and Wednesdays at this time. But I pulled you a card real quick before you go to bed. And blue heron, they stand in stillness, but because they are so aligned with themselves, because they are so complete in themselves, they cast a shadow on the water, and the fish are drawn to the coolness of their shadow. So the everything that heron needs comes to her. So be who you are, and you don't need to chase things. Everything you need will come to you when you trust that. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. Good night, April. Have good sleep, sweet dreams. She was saying good night to you, April. Sweet dreams, April. Thank you for joining. I look forward to seeing you again. Okay. Back to the swan. So with swan, especially in reverse, it's about letting go. It's kind of, to sum it up, it's really that one of my favorite affirmations that I've mentioned before is that one that, like, no matter what's happening around you, you can say, bye, April. Well, you didn't say bye, April, but Um, only good can come of this. Trusting that that there are no accidents, that every experience, whether deemed positive or negative, gives you strength to fly. And one of the things that I realized about myself during the last week, during the sun dance, was that, you know, it's only in those places where I have a lack of confidence, where I have self-doubt, where I'm not sure of myself, I feel inadequate. Those are the same exact places where the world can come in, where someone can come in and get their hooks in and make you feel guilty or make you feel shame or make you feel not good enough, etc., etc. But it's nothing that is instigated from the outside in. It's like, I just got 3333 on my counter. So, like, I am in control. Like, it's my own senses of inferiority, my own sense of self-doubt, my own, what do they call that, imposter syndrome that undermines my own path. And so, in other words, believe in yourself. Trust that you are here. When Swan shows up, you are meant to be seen. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to save the world. It's more about who you become. Like Sarah Ingerman always says, it's not what you do, but who you become that changes the world. And swans don't do a lot other than flying overhead and swimming in the water. But I don't know anyone who's ever seen a swan and been like, ew, what a ugly bird, right? It's like they're awe-inspiring. They change the world just by being in it. It is their very presence that lifts the spirit of everyone around them. So that is something to keep in mind on your path. And to remember that the universe has so much faith in you that there is nothing that can happen. You are greater than anything you can fear. The universe will never challenge you with more than you can handle. If it's in front of you, you can handle it. So don't give in to those. The feathers, when they're growing out, I'm sure it's like they come out in a kind of a stalk, and then it slowly unfurls and the feather comes out kind of like a flower, and I'm sure that's not comfortable. Moonhoney saw a video of two swans being reunited. I once had, swans are so incredible. I could go in so many different directions. I used to volunteer at a local zoo, and they had a couple of trumpeter swans, and they had a couple of Australian black swans. And tragically, the female black swan had died, and they were so in love that after she died, the male became just cantankerous and no one could get close to him, and he would snap at everyone and chase everyone off. And finally, I was able to, I stood there with him one time, just like me outside his enclosure, him inside his enclosure. And I tried to connect. I was able to connect to his dearly departed mate and kind of make it like show him that she was okay, that she was still with him. And his whole demeanor shifted after that. And it was just that he was having a broken heart. He was so in love with her, and when she disappeared, like his world shattered. And I think, I may be wrong, but I think there's some language where the word for swan and the word for love are the same word. They exemplify that. So yeah, they are about love. So I hope that makes sense, Anna. I hope that was helpful. So we'll get on to, so now I'm going to count April as card number 2, kind of card number 1A, but I was too. It was like, at first I was kind of new to the animal communication thing at the time, so I was kind of, I had a lot of self-doubt, and that was one of the experiences that really helped to solidify my trust in what I do and the guidance I get and the reality of what the unseen. So, yeah. Okay, Carly, card number 3. If there's anyone else that's come in the meantime, I've got 1 spot left for a 1-card reading. It's yours if you want it. Okay. I'm saying shuffle them better. Shuffle them gooder. All right, Carly. Card number 3 is Ant. This is one of the least favorite words that people have when they get a reading, but Ant is about patience. Ant is kind of the quintessential message of, it's not the destination, it's the journey kind of thing. And it came up recently in a reading that I did last week during the Sundance, and it reminded me of one of my grade school teachers who became one of my best spiritual mentors, became a very good friend until she died a few years ago. Her name was Sister Agnes. I went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic school from first grade all the way through college. And I became a shaman. Ta-da! But one of the things she taught me, one of the things she taught us, one of the things she said all the time, all the way to heaven is heaven. All the way there is there. So it's kind of my guides are so goofy. They reminded me of a memory. So my ex-wife and I we're big Trekkies. I'm still a real huge Star Trek fan. And we had a friend who she used to say that, you know, by the time the future gets here, we're going to be so tired of it because we're living in the future, living in the world of Starfleet. We're like living, you know, kind of like that be the change you want to see in the world, right? So we're living our lives as though like we're living in Starfleet or whatever. And so it's like by the time that actually happens, we are going to be so bored of it. Um, but it's kind of the idea. It's like when you're manifesting something, you know, you're told to focus on the end result, focus on what you want, right? To picture it, to feel it in your body, feel the feelings that it will feel like when that finally happens, when that finally manifests into your physical reality, whatever it is. And then you're supposed to let go and allow the universe to make everything happen to make that happen, right? And so, by the same account, is like if you can feel that end result all the time without the end result happening, when that end result shows up, it's kind of like secondhand news. It's just like, oh, okay, there it is. Because you were so sure of it, because you could feel it, that when it showed up, it was just a matter of, oh, there it is, right? Kyle Cease, who I talk about quite a bit, he has tons of YouTube videos and stuff, and he was a like Comedy Central comedian, stand-up comedian who transformed over into like this kind of thing, spiritual workshops and that kind of thing. And you may know him from that movie 10 Things I Hate About You. He was in that movie. And he's from here in Seattle. And on the drive down, he tells the story how on his drive down with his friend, he was so nervous. He was going down to audition for this movie, and all of a sudden he like transformed it. Instead of talking about, oh, I hope I get this, oh, I hope I get this, I'm so nervous about this, I hope I get it, he started talking to his friend as though it was a year in the future, and he was talking about what a great experience that was. I was so nervous beforehand, and I had nothing to worry about because I was a shoo-in. I got the part easily, and now it's, you know, it's on the big screen everywhere, and blah, 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 blah. And so it's like when you can shift, you know, like they say, your mind can't tell the difference between reality and something that is intensely imagined, right? And so when you start to speak about it, so that's not like, oh my God, I can't wait till that happens, right? You're putting it above yourself. It's like this it's vibing at a rate up here, and you're down here going, oh my God, I can't wait, and there, you know, there's that resistance, like I don't deserve it, or oh, I hope it happens, right? Which all go to undermine the whole manifestation process. But if you can speak and put yourself up at that vibration where it's just a part of your life, right? Like what I grew up, I love my main heroes were Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett, Tarzan. I always loved like Native American ways. I always loved like had kind of a love-hate relationship with like animal hides and bones and stuff. And now, but I always loved seeing them. There was always a connection there. And now I have bones, I have animal hides everywhere, wings, feathers, and it's just a part of who I am because I went from a place of, gosh, I wish I could do that. I wish, wow, that would be so cool to have that. and became a point where like people give them to me, or I just find them. I found I found an entire spine of a seal at the ocean when I went. You know, it's like the things just come to me now because I'm at that vibration. It's just matter of fact. It's like it's no big deal. Oh yeah, I got that movie part. It was no big deal. It was because it's who I am, right? So starting to think of yourself as that person and focusing on being a vibrational match for what it is that you're seeking. Does that make sense? And then to just go about your day, like, it reminds me, like when I did my very first vision quest, and my guides came to me and they were like, your path is meant to be shared. And I'm like, oh crap, that means I need to write a book or something. You know, and I had no clue on how to approach that, how to do that, what that entailed. And then it occurred to me at one point, it's like, oh, I don't need to just sit down and write a book. I started a blog. And now I have enough material for at least 3 books, which just post by post, telling about my life, sharing my path. I don't have to just sit down and remember and like, then this happened and this happened and this. It's like, it's cut and paste, and there's the end result. And I haven't gotten, I'm in the process of that. I have in the description under the video, I have the link to my latest blog. I've got a number of blogs. The original one is called The Golden Thread Road. It's goldenthreadroad.blogspot.com if you want to check it out. It's like when I was at the very beginning of all of this process. And so anyway, so it's like when you have that destiny, kind of like Swan, and you just day by day do what you do, all of a sudden you wake up one day and wow, I've got a book. Thank you, Moon Honey. I never think about that. Moon Honey says it's like, it's incredibly beautiful that you compare someone acquiring a movie role with you finding animal bones. It's true. Thank you for that. But yeah, it's like, because I am a shaman, and in some traditions that's like a taboo to say that you are blah 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 whatever. But I look around me, got antlers everywhere, I've got feathers everywhere, antlers and wings, and it's who I am. It's just natural. I don't even think about it anymore, you know. And I have people that actually, I did a reading for someone, and they paid me with a pair of badger paws that someone they knew had hunted. And so I got badger paws. I've been paid with fox skins before, and it's like, it fits, it resonates, it's who I am, that's the frequency I'm at. And if you're a movie actor, it's like, you know, those roles just kind of show up. There's those certain actors that just get part after part after part, and it's like, it's like, it's such a beautiful example of like I've talked before about how like the whole past life thing, future life thing. And if you look at at actors, and you look at the different parts they play, right? And they're the characters. But like, say Sandra Bullock, I just saw a video with her. Think of all her movie parts, right? And she's a different person in all of them, although there is kind of a bit of her in all of those. And some of them exist in the past, some of them exist in the future, some of them exist present day, but it's all Sandra Bullock. And where was I going with that? Because she's in my mind, in my eyes, she's such an incredible actress. She's such an incredible person that these roles just show up for her that are such a reflection of parts of her, who she actually is, if that makes sense. I may have gone off topic a little bit there, um, but yeah, so Carly, I hope that is helpful. I hope that makes sense. Um, but the thing with Ant, when Ant shows up, um, there is usually some big production in the works, which you, because Ant is walking around with just this tiny piece of leaf in his mandibles, can't see the entire blueprint, can't see the entire template, but by him just carrying that little piece of leaf and millions of other ants carrying a tiny piece of leaf, the entire anthill gets built, the entire anthill gets fed. And so it's like you don't need to know how it's going to happen, what's going to happen exactly, but you can trust that you are always in the right place at the right time, especially just taking care of what is in front of you. Not carrying everyone else's crap. Just because you're 10 times stronger than anyone else doesn't mean you're meant to carry other people's stuff. So, no able-bodied adult should be carried to the top of the mountain. All you need to care about is what's in front of you, your own responsibility, your own well-being, taking care of yourself, so that when it's needed, you're in the position to carry others or to lift others. If you're always weighed down by other people's stuff, then you don't have the strength or space or arms to help someone else get back up. So, I hope that is helpful. All right, card number 4 for Moon Honey. And I still have spot for one more person if there's anyone that's come in late. Might end up doing just a 4-card reading again. I think it's summertime. A lot of people are out and about. But, okay. Okay. So, card number 4 for Moon Honey. We got Squirrel in reverse. It's something it's like trying to come forward. Give me a moment. I'm in the middle of reading the book Braiding Sweetgrass by, I believe her first name's Robin. I can't remember her. She's got a middle name, last name. But she's a native woman and she's a scientist. She's like I don't know if botanist is the right word, but she's a scientist that works with plants and ecosystems of plants. And in the one part, she's talking about, there's certain plants, there's certain trees that that blossom every year at the same time, and they drop their fruit, etc. You could run your like the hawthorn tree, for instance, is used to be called the May tree, and it would inevitably blossom on or around the 1st of May every year. Um, and then they went and changed the calendar, so now it happens in the middle of May somewhere or something. But it's like there's certain cycles, regular cycles, right? But then there's other systems that aren't just dependent on the season and the temperature, etc., whatever the regular solar or lunar cycle, but it's like she uses the example of pecan trees and how they only fruit when they have built up enough sugar or whatever it is that goes into the nuts and stuff. And then like every pecan tree in the area will blossom and fruit at the same time in that area because they're all connected underground, but they have to hit like a critical mass of sugar. And part of that cycle, it's not necessarily predictable because it depends on like the pecan trees will blossom and fruit and drop their nuts, and because those nuts are so abundant, the squirrel population increases drastically, right? And then when the squirrel population increases drastically, the raptor population increases exponentially, et cetera, until the nuts start to, the resource of the nut starts to dry up, and so squirrels are more hoarding and planting nuts, and so the squirrel population nosedives. But because of all these nuts that the squirrels have planted all over the place, a new generation of pecan trees grow up. And it's like the squirrel population dwindles, so the hawk population dwindles, and then because there aren't as many squirrels eating the nuts, etc., there's more going into the land, which helps build up the sugar that the trees are taking up into themselves to create the sugar necessary to fruit again. And so there are other cycles that happen, and even though, kind of like Ant, I'm kind of seeing the theme through tonight's cards. You might not see the overall regularity of this cycle. You might not be able to see the full picture or the template of what's happening, but you can trust that you are part of that cycle. You are intimately connected to that cycle, that you have further reaching effects than you think you do. It's that interdependence, that interconnectedness, that web of life, and that everything that happens to you, whether you're on a trending up or a trending down, you are still benefiting the entire ecosystem, whether that's financial, whether that's physical, environmental, household, whatever it is. You are still always in the right place at the right time, and that you are that in the same way, right? It's this mutual beneficial thing, and that the squirrel population needs to dwindle in order for the trees to build up enough resources in order to fruit, which then increases the squirrel population, they have more babies, there's more to eat, etc., etc. So, it's kind of like when you're watching the stock markets or anything. Like I personally know nothing about the markets, but I remember my grandma and grandpa, they would invest things, and my grandma would complain because it's like it's like we say we invested in something and then we watch it go up, we watch it go down, we watch it go up, we watch it go down, and we don't do anything with it, right? And it's like one day you're like, woohoo, it gained, and and um, and then the next day it's like, oh my God, I lost so much, right? But don't pay attention to the up and downs of daily life, but trust that you are on the right trajectory. That there are going to be ups and downs, and like I said, some of those downs is where you're growing your feathers to make you fly, right? Um, and so that's a brand new the only reason I was able to say all that was because I'm in the middle of that book right now. Um, but that relates to what I would normally say about squirrel being about being present in the moment of that gratitude of everything. Um, and the squirrel finds an acorn or a nut, it's like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And, arms wide open, ready to receive it in gratitude. Oh, thank you, universe. Thank you, tree. Nah, yum. And then they return it to the earth. They bury it, or they hide it in a tree, or they, so that they open their arms to be able to receive the next gift. So everything in Squirrel's world is a present. I won't go into that whole thing about the past is done, the future, and what's why they call it the present. But everything in Squirrel's world is a gift. In reverse, that's more of kind of the scarcity mindedness where you're, excuse me, it's kind of like the blinders that come on and the tunnel vision, you can't see anything outside of the challenge or the problem. You can't even conceive of a solution, right? But with Squirrel, they're so focused on the present and everything they have that they can let it go so they can receive more. And it's not coming from ego, it's not coming from greed, it's an appreciation and gratitude of all the blessings they have coming to them, right? And Squirrel has so much trust. So on another vision quest I was on, there was a squirrel that would come through my campsite like every day, a couple of times. And so I connected to Squirrel to find out what's your message for me. And this little squirrel was talking about, it's kind of along the lines of something else Wayne Dyer said about how you'll see it when you believe it. But he's like, when I'm running through the trees really fast, right, jumping from branch to branch, it's like they leap. It's that leap of faith, literally. They leap, and then because they know there's going to be a branch that will catch them. They don't plan it out. They don't plot it out. They just run and they throw themselves into space, knowing they're taken care of, knowing there will be a branch where that they can grab and continue. Kind of like, what's that thing called with the people that run like rooftops and climb walls, and they're constantly moving, and I can't remember what that's called, but It's something like that where you're just ready for anything and you spin and you tumble and you jump and you catch, and it's like there's no need to doubt your abundance. Um, and when I say abundance, I don't mean just finances. It's like abundance of resources, whether that is shelter, friendship, love, food, kitties. um, is trusting that abundance, knowing that the universe has your back, and that no matter what it looks like, you are always taken care of. They really do hurl themselves through the air. They really do. I was trying to think of like something to say about flying squirrels where they don't have to worry about it, but regular squirrels don't worry about it either. Flying squirrels can just go further. Hey, Kit Kat. I just fed you. I'll feed you when we're done here, okay? Let's see. Okay, that was all, unless there's someone else who's kind of hanging out in the shadows. We might actually end a little bit early tonight. So, but I hope that's helpful, Moon Honey. You know, it's not. It's more about your perspective. What am I trying to say? Whether you can see it or feel it or not, you are always taken care of. Your needs are always met. Kind of like I was saying earlier with my own self-doubts and inadequacies and stuff, that's where the trouble comes in. It's like my own turning, like leaving gaping holes in my energy field by doubting myself or doubting the universe. And it's when I can see, remember that wholeness, remember that I'm perfect just the way I am, right? Like Mr. Rogers, that everything sorts itself out. So I hope that's helpful. All right, well, if no one else is lurking out there, I guess we're just going to go with 4 cards tonight. So, as I am sorting through and finding the cards that came up tonight, I just wanted to repeat the stuff I said at the beginning, the little plugs about if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That helps me, and it helps others find me, or so I'm told. I don't know how any of that works, but and if you would like to, if you enjoy these and you would like a one-on-one personal reading with me, we can absolutely do that, or a healing, or I also do mentoring. If you want to, if you would like if you're looking for a spiritual teacher, and for all of those things, you can check out my website at perchingwolfstudios.net, where you can learn more about me. You can see the different shamanic services I offer, and you can set up a session with me right from my website. Um, and oh, and if you would like, if you enjoy my videos and you get something from them, um, and you would like to support your friendly neighborhood shaman, I also have my PayPal and Venmo links in the under in the description. And anything you give is met with such incredible gratitude. Sorry, I'm looking at the cards. I'm trying to place them in the right place and everything. So we have Swan, Squirrel. Where is Moose and Squirrel? All right. So thank you in advance for your kindness, for your support. It really means a lot to me. This is my day job, so this is how I get paid. This is how I help keep a roof over her head and food in her tummy. Oh. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Okay, so you're sitting on the cards, Missy. I know you want some food, but I already gave you some food. Here. There you go. Okay, so let's see, how am I gonna do? How can I need to a couple of things here. Should I just, oh, that should be okay. All right, so I'm going to turn my phone down to, she knows that squirrel is there. That's so funny. I don't know if she would know what to do if she's met a squirrel. So there's Kira, and there's the cards. Oh, I actually have to like, okay. So we had 4 cards tonight. And so when I do a 4-card reading, it's basically, it's kind of like the hero's journey. It's like where we're starting from. These two I get mixed up on. What we bring to the situation, what is the challenge, and what is the outcome. And so these are all 4 cards of the individuals we had tonight. And so we just folded them into a reading for the community at large, because we are all connected. And so where we're starting from here with Swan in reverse, there's something I learned from Sandra Ingerman in that, how did she used to put it? Disillusionment is a necessary ingredient to growth. And so it's like we're at this place with Swan. We have this, everything feels awkward. We're like the ugly duckling. Was like the world is just out of control. We feel like we don't fit here anymore. We feel like the rules don't make sense anymore, as if they ever did, right? And so there's this disconnect or dissonance between who we believe we are and who we can be, right? What the world is right now and what we believe it can be. And so there's a disillusionment, like, you know, in the crumbling of the American dream, all of the strife and the conflict and everything else going on in the world right now. it's easy to fall into like cynicism and hopelessness, like, oh, this is just a pipe dream, we're never going to get there, it's not possible. But that illusionment in the outside world is what opens us up to seek solutions in the inner world, where the outside world does not dictate who we are. And so we stop focusing on the outside world so much and start focusing on who are we really, right? And really it's that being the change that you want to see in the world kind of thing, right? And it's like there's that story of the man who was on the beach and the tide went out and there were all these starfish stranded up on the beach and were drying out in the sun, and he started running around frantically throwing the sea fish back into the water, and someone laughed at him and said, "You're never going to save them all, you're never going to make a difference to all of them." And he's like, "No, but I just made a difference to that one life that I just saved right there," right? It's like we have this all or nothing attitude that we're coming from, but then we move into this space where, well, I can still make a little bit of a difference, heart by heart, person by person, by being in alignment, connecting to the earth, right? Like Heron, feet in the earth, head in the sky, being that bridge between heaven and earth, between spirit and physical, between the seen and the unseen. Because when there's no place else to turn in the outside world to change or to fix, the only place left to turn is inside. And to find our own connection to spirit, to find our own alignment. And so we move to the card that is the challenge or the obstacle that we need to overcome. And I think I just said it, right? This all or nothing thinking, the cynicism that says, oh, we're never going to be that good, we're never going to be beautiful, we'll never ascend to our full potential, right? So that's in reverse. And the challenge so it's kind of like what we're bringing with us and the challenge are kind of interconnecting here, because the challenge is like when you see an ant, you think, oh God, they're so small, they're so powerless individually, blah, blah, blah. But what I just said, when you have millions and millions of people who are starting to connect to their inner worth, their inner world, starting to make a difference in the world, even though they may be carrying just a small fragment of a leaf, because of the collective numbers, the entire anthill gets fed. And so it's not about changing other people, it's about changing ourselves and our relationship with the world, with reality, with the physical world and how we live in it. And to stop trying to save the world, and like I just said, to be the change you want to see in the world. That's the only way to save the world. And so the end result, where we're headed, I think, so when I do readings and the cards are in reverse, it's not so much a reverse card as you're never going to get there, you're doomed, you're doing something wrong. It's more of it's a seed or a nut that has been planted that has not blossomed yet. But it's like if we follow this progression, we're starting in this place of discontent, but that is what's fueling us to look inward, to move forward, even though we don't know what the end result might look like. We know that there's something worth building, and we know we're not alone, that we're working in the collective to create something more. And it's like, this is the seed we're planting. We're starting to move, we're coming into, we're starting to know that this is possible as we move into more of an attitude of gratitude, right? Of seeing the magic in the world rather than to see all the reasons things can't work out. We're starting to trust that we don't have to see how things actually work, and just have that trust that it's going to work out, to see the abundance in the world rather than the scarcity. And so I think usually when a card is in reverse, when it comes up in the, where we're headed place, it's not that we're headed for doom and scarcity and whatever. It's that end story. We're here. We don't. We're working step by step. There's more people working toward a better world than there are people working against it. And so this is taking shape. It hasn't come to fruition yet, but through these actions and these beliefs in the value of yourself as well as the value of every person, we're starting to create a world where abundance is possible. It's just a seed right now. It's just a nut right now. But just like the acorn contains the entire oak tree, this little kernel of an idea, kernel of a hope, contains the entire holographic vision and image of this world that we're trying to create. Does that make sense to people? That's the way I read that. That's the way I see it. What's going on? Oh, my phone. Nope. Okay. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Up and at 'em. Woohoo! So, if we were never if we were never discontent, if everything was always smooth, we would have no motivation to change it. And this is like how you can't have courage without fear. Exactly, we are making progress even if we're not always aware of it. That those seeds are being planted, and that at some point we will hit a critical mass where those seeds are blooming and fruiting and creating more abundance. But it's that courage, it's the fear of the scarcity that is the seed of the courage it's taking us to get there. Does that make sense? So anyway, hoofda. So that is our evening. I want to thank you so much for joining me, especially those who had the perseverance to sit all the way through all of that. So actually the ending a little bit early means I can go to bed earlier tonight. Yay! So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for spending this time with me. You're so welcome, Moon Honey. Thank you for having for this. Even though it may seem like everything's falling apart, it may seem like there's no hope or whatever, you're still here. asking for hope, knowing that there is hope. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be looking for it, looking for guidance or whatever. So thank you for that. Thank you for supporting me just by watching, by sharing. Please share my video. And again, check out my website, perchingwolfstudios.net. If you would like personal readings or healings or teachings, oh my. You can learn more about me. You can set up a session with me right from my website. And if you would like to support your friendly neighborhood shaman in doing my work and making sure Kira has food and shelter, my PayPal and Venmo links are in the description, and anything you give is so heartily received with such gratitude. I can't even put into words. So thank you. So until I see you again, I hope you join me next week, same time, same bat time, same bat channel. And until then, know that I love you, that I see you, that I honor you. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and go shining. All right, bye now.